Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another BigCommerce Town Hall. We're so excited to be here with you again this quarter to share the latest news and updates from BigCommerce. My name is Drew Bonias. I manage the customer community here at BigCommerce, and I'll be your moderator for today. For those of you who might be new to Town Hall, this is our quarterly event where all of you, our customers and partners, can hear directly from BigCommerce about the latest enhancements to the platform and what's coming next. We have quite a few updates to share with you today, but before we jump into everything, I'll walk you through our agenda and discuss how you can participate if you have questions for any of our presenters. To kick us off, our CEO, Brent Bellum, will share some company updates and highlight a few of the latest innovative merchants to launch on BigCommerce. Next, Melissa Dixon will join and share our recent content resource updates. Then Troy Cox and members of our product teams will announce new features and platform updates. Finally, we'll transition to live Q&A and use whatever time is left to address the questions that you submit during the broadcast. I can switch my slide. There we go. During today's town hall, you can use the Q&A panel to privately send us your questions about BigCommerce or any of the topics we're covering, and we will try to answer as many of these as we can during Q&A. And you don't have to wait until we get to live Q&A to submit your questions. You can start submitting them now or as we go. We'll also be using the chat feature to share links to additional resources with you about what we're covering. So make sure to keep an eye on that as well. And if you miss anything we talk about today, please fear not. We'll have video recap and a downloadable version of our presentation available in the BigCommerce Help Center within the next week. And with that, I think we are ready to get started. Brent, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Drew, and a warm welcome to all of our customers and partners. Thanks for spending time with us. You can go back a page. Before I get into the first page content, Drew, I'll say a few words just on sort of the state of e-commerce and the corporation. We had our quarterly public company earnings announcement last week, and I am delighted to share that BigCommerce has delivered on its promise to our investors in the market that we would become a nicely profitable company by the end of last year. And as everybody knows, the sort of investors, private and public, did a sort of 180-degree turn in 2022 when they went from years of preferring growth over profitability to preferring heavily profitability over growth. In 2022, we got caught, like so many companies, on the growth side of the equation. We grew 27% that year, which was faster than all of our major rivals, and managed to go through 2022 never missing our guidance on the top line or bottom line as a public company, unlike other companies. But investors in the market, as the year went on, said, we don't really care if you're achieving your original plan. We don't like the original plan. We want you to be profitable. So in 2023, BigCommerce really focused on getting to profitability. And we told investors that it was our goal to get there by Q4 on an adjusted EBITDA basis. And I'm happy to say, thanks to the hard work of our teams and continued success of the platform, we were able to accomplish that. Our adjusted EBITDA profit margin in Q4 was a positive 8%, and our operating cash flow was a positive 16%. We also had a very nice growth rate on the quarter of 16% revenue, which was a nice acceleration over the prior quarters. So that's hard to do when you're also cutting costs and prioritizing profitability, but it was a good quarter. And as we go into 2024, we expect this to be a year where we're solidly profitable on the full year. And, in essence, all of our investors know that we've got a strong balance sheet and strong financial situation. It's our desire, though, to, as we've emphasized more than anything in the call, earn our growth through customer success and customer love. We want to be the most loved e-commerce platform in the world. We want to give all of our customers and partners the best possible product and service and partnership. And that's really our commitment to all of you, because we know that's how we earn continued growth going forward. That focus on customer and customer success was in marked contrast to our largest competitor, who just increased their prices monumentally for the second straight year. Shopify, as I think you all heard, increased their normal Shopify prices by 33% in 2022. One might argue that was an overdue because we hadn't increased prices on those products in a long time. But then they also announced across the board price increases of a magnitude I don't think I've ever seen before on Shopify Plus. It went up by 60% on their variable fee, and the variable fee is the major fee for larger Shopify Plus merchants. The fixed fee went up by 25%. The penalty fee, if you don't use Shopify Payments, went up by a third, and they introduced a very large fee on all B2B transactions, including ones that are offline and don't run through Shopify. They're going to charge you for those too. So that's in contrast to us. We're not doing that type of fee move at BigCommerce. We want to earn our growth the hard way, which is by creating value, not extracting value. And that's sort of the state of BigCommerce right now. So I'm happy to say we don't have to increase our prices by those massive amounts in order to deliver the kind of profitability that our investors are looking for. And we want to grow from here overwhelmingly based on delivering value and growing in conjunction with all of you. Okay, so that was one big set of news. Another just couple of tidbits from the earnings announcement that are of interest. I didn't put a page in here, I just forgot to. But in prior quarters, Troy and team and I had led with an overview page of those sort of 5 key areas where we're trying to be a true leader. Basically, site-wide conversion and customer experience, checkout conversion narrowly, omni-channel, helping you expand and helping you operate. The tidbits of new news was that I'm happy to share in all of the second half of last year, the average site-wide conversion for all of our enterprise customers that are using one of our flagship payment processors was 2.67%. That's a good 15% above what was published by, again, our biggest competitor, and significantly above the internet average. Even more impressively, our checkout conversion across all enterprise merchants on a flagship processor rose to 70%. And that is far, far, far above the typical internet numbers of 40 to 45%, and far above our closest competitor, who's more like 50%. So really good numbers there. We focus so much on the experiences that we can control and the product we can control, like in the checkout, and then the tools we give you for your site user experience. And those numbers were really good ones, and even better than the numbers we first published back in Q2 of last year. All right, let me now dig into the biggest product announcement. And of course, Troy and team will go into more detail on this, but I want to talk about composable commerce and headless. About 5% of our customers use composable, which is when you, instead of employing our natively hosted framework of themes and page building and theme editing called Stencil, instead, a customer is using a composable set of front-end frameworks, maybe content management system, search and merch tools, third-party hosting, to compose the front-end user experience of their website. And this is most commonly done for either businesses who really lean in on unusual and engaging user experiences, or those who have a lot of complexity because, for example, they're serving lots of different languages and countries across Europe, across APAC, et cetera. So here are some of the various composable solutions: content management systems, or DXPs, like Content Stack, Contentful, WordPress, search and merch like Bloomreach, Algolia could be on this list, or other search partners, Claybu, SearchSpring, Constructor, et cetera, and other front-end frameworks. And we have really fantastic industry-leading brands across all of these. Historically, though, we were so open, it was kind of a choose-your-own adventure. Your IT team, your marketers and merchandisers pick the tools you most want to use. And we didn't make a reference architecture available out of the box. Well, that's now changed with the announcement of Catalyst. And you can go to the next page, Drew. Catalyst is a reference composable architecture using both the highest performing and most popular front end frameworks, arguably in the world right now. It's based on Next.js and React. It gets you you can press a button and literally have a sandbox or starter store up and running in Catalyst in under 60 seconds. It's pre-integrated with an increasing number of the world's most popular content management systems, like, again, Contentful, Content Stack, WordPress, Bloomreach search and merge solutions like Algolia and Bloomreach, and many more coming, Vercel for hosting. And our agency partners who've done lots of composable builds are basically telling us that this is their dream tech stack. They love the fact that out of the box it has 100 Google Lighthouse scores, and in essence makes composable for the first time ever fast and really easy and successful to deploy in a world-class way. Now, for the many of you who are not composable and don't want to go to composable, you may say, okay, how does this benefit me? Well, the good news is that in working on this for our composable customers, we also have done lots and lots of work that equally benefits stencil stores. And Troy and the team can talk more about that, but examples include all the GraphQL APIs that we're extending to every part of the checkout, the cart, product detail pages, PLPs. There's so much work that goes in where we're just basically unifying the back end. And this shows, in essence, our strategy of open SaaS. Because with open SaaS, we increasingly, it doesn't matter whether you're doing everything within BigCommerce, you're doing composable, you're mixing and matching. It's the same tech, it's the same openness, because openness supports both our internal product and tools that we deliver, as well as the ability to access from outside applications and outside extensions and customizations. So that's Catalyst. It's getting really great news. I'm also excited to say that these types of innovations are earning us leader quadrant ratings from leading publications. So IDC recently rated us a leader for B2B e-commerce. We're about to be rated a leader for enterprise B2C e-commerce platforms. I just can't tell you which publication because they haven't come out with it yet, but you'll get that news soon. And so we're really being recognized for the pace and speed of innovation at BigCommerce and how that's ahead of so many of the legacy competitors. Okay, I'll go fast from here. Next page. PayPal Fastlane. So this was also a big release, even bigger from our partner PayPal, where PayPal has been introducing in beta to BigCommerce merchants first what they call Fastlane, and that is their accelerated checkout, which happens anytime a customer on a merchant who chooses to use Fastlane bypasses the wallets at the top. So, in a standard BigCommerce checkout, you'll have maybe a wallet button for PayPal, for Apple Pay, for Google Pay, maybe Amazon Pay. If the consumer bypasses that, starts typing in an email, if PayPal recognizes that email, they'll then give the consumer, because they recognize the consumer, they know the consumer's shipping address, billing address, card information, phone number. They'll send the consumer a 6-digit text code. And if the consumer chooses to use that text code, they're basically two-factor authenticating themselves through the phone, having already done that with the email address and the browser on the website. And then they can speed right through checkout as if they were using a PayPal wallet or another wallet where all that other information is filled. But the consumer doesn't need to have an account name and password remembered and used. It's just a two-factor authentication. I think this is the most exciting and interesting innovation in payments since wallets were first introduced by PayPal more than 20 years ago. PayPal's not the first one to have something like this. Stripe has Stripe Link, and we have many merchants using that with Stripe. Another partner, Bolt, has been doing this for a number of years. An advantage of PayPal is that their user network, as they have reported, is more than 400 million recognized consumers around the world. And they're seeing as high as 70% of the guest consumers on websites are recognized. So just think about that. 70% of all your guest checkouts getting to skip all that form entry and potential inaccuracies and drop off and delays because PayPal already recognizes them and helps them check out. So I'm a giant advocate of this sort of enhancement to websites. And if you're in the US, because this is US today, I don't know if it's Canada, but certainly US, it'll be coming later this year into general availability. And I'd encourage everybody who's using PayPal for their card processing to upgrade to this. If you're using Stripe, use Stripe Link. And there'll be more innovation in this regard coming in the year ahead. This is one of the ways that we keep making what we think is the highest converting checkout in all of e-commerce on BigCommerce even better than it was before. All right, next page. All right, innovative new merchants. All right, two I cannot announce, but are now starting to ramp their volumes. Our largest B2C and our largest B2B merchants of all time are now live and starting to ramp up volume. I'll name them once they get to a higher percentage, but the B2C merchant is known to almost everybody in North America. You know, they're doing, $1.5 billion or so a year online. Really, really big and exciting business. And then the B2B industrial company, most of you maybe wouldn't recognize it unless you've seen their trucks running around cities across the United States, but they're scaling too. So future announcements coming from them we're excited about. Next. Some big brands we've launched. Here's Mizuno. It's a super well-known Japanese sportswear company, shoes, golf, a whole bunch of other categories where they're a leader. Starting with the US and Canada sites, they're using GraphQL for precision inventory checks. It's multi-storefront, really terrific implementation. Next. Muji, sticking with the Japan theme, a Japanese apparel brand, lifestyle fashion, accessories, really popular. This one's launching across EMEA countries that you see listed here. Again, multi-storefront, a migration away from Magento. We love that brand in Europe, very hip, cool brand. Next. All right, very innovative, BitKey. So this is a product released by the company Block, who many of you may know as Square. So you get like the Square point of sale readers and payment processing at point of sale. People all over the world are seeing Square terminals. They're huge. This is Square's or Block's self-custodial crypto wallet. So if you have cryptocurrency, you can now store it safely within BitKey. It's headless with a custom checkout using Stripe. I know it's a pretty awesome use case, and we're really proud to be serving them. Next. Cupra is a very well-known European car brand. It's not in North America. It was formerly known as See It Sport. This is their Spanish site, to be followed by other countries. This is where they're selling, basically lifestyle products related to the brand, apparel, logo wear, car accessories, stuff like that. A stencil, but with a custom checkout. And they're also working on a business to consumer marketplace, right? In essence, think of the car dealers having their own, branded stores for Cupra merchandise. Next. Didar, beautiful site. It's a wholesaler of cutting-edge fabrics from Italy. It's a multi-storefront, multi-geography customer, and one of the first ones using all of those capabilities in the country of Italy. No surprise, the Italians design things the best, and it's a really lovely, well-designed site. Next. Oak Meadow is I like to show the diversity of categories people use BigCommerce for. This is a homeschool educational program. So now we're getting into publishing and education. It's been around since 1975. They're launching in phases. They're starting with B2C. They'll follow with B2B. Again, I highlight this for two reasons. One is we do both B2C and B2B so well, and many of our customers use us for both. And because we can do it in lots of non-traditional e-commerce categories like education. Next. All right, let's get more into sort of industrial B2B. Part Pros is a seller of HVAC parts and building controls, B2B store, and they'll do sort of custom inventory management system and ERP integrations, as so often real industrial companies have to do. Next. Another B2B company, this is an advanced cutting and welding machines supplier. Been around a long time, selling into steel services centers, heavy equipment, general fab, etc. And I emphasize this because when we say B2B, we don't just mean at BigCommerce narrowly B2C brands selling wholesale to retailers. Yes, we do that, but we also do hardcore B2B in very industrial categories like this. And the breadth and depth of our B2B product, I think, is market leading right now. And we're getting a lot of that recognition, again, from places like IDC, Paradigm, and even merchants themselves on G2. Next. I think this might be the last one, package terminal air conditioners. When I saw the PTAC, I had to look up what that actually stood for, but I guess many of us have these in our homes. And what's interesting here is they have different storefronts, one for their discount channel, one for their normal channel, and one for both channels. So again, we're using multi-storefront in a way that is very advanced for this, both B2C and B2B use case. Next. All right, that's all from me. And I'd like to turn it over to the recently promoted Melissa Dixon. Congratulations on your promotion, Melissa.
Oh, thanks so much, Brent. And hello, BigCommerce community. So exciting to see all those new customers. And we have a lot happening in the content world for you all as well. So let's move to the next slide, please, Drew. Okay, first and foremost, we are absolutely thrilled to announce a new and improved blog experience for our BigCommerce community. So our goal is always to provide our customers and our community with the very best possible experience. And that's why we've expanded our BigCommerce blog so that it now houses all of our product updates. So what this means for you all is that you no longer have to go to a separate product blog. All of your product updates and posts that our knowledge base team writes, those are all now going to be part of the main BigCommerce blog. And I know our team is going to drop the URLs in there, but it's bigcommerce.com/blog. So if you've spent time on our blog, you know that there's also a ton of great content, customer success stories, updates on the BigCommerce community. We have lots of broader e-commerce news and insights, growth strategies. So now it's all there in this one singular destination for everyone. So hopefully this will be a richer experience for all of you. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Let's talk predictions and what lies ahead in 2024. Hopefully the year's off to a great start for everyone. Q1 is always that time to sort of examine the state of e-commerce and explore new trends. So our team has been doing a lot of that over the last couple of months. And we had some really interesting takeaways coming out of NRF, which is the National Retail Federation's flagship event in New York in January. So if you weren't able to attend, or even if you were, you can take a look at some of our recap content where we discussed all of these major themes and some of the key insights and takeaways on our Make It Big podcast episode. We also polled our BigCommerce executives and created an outline of all of their predictions and top trends. So these are a couple of really timely resources as you plan for the rest of the year and something worth taking a look at. And let's move on to the next slide. We have another really exciting launch here. We have a brand new video series called B2B Bites, which explores the latest B2B news, trends, all of the opportunities in B2B, And these videos are sort of short, bite-sized conversational format. So I think that our audience will find it refreshing. It's really fun to watch. And it's hosted by our general manager of B2B, Lance Owide. He's having some really engaging conversations with B2B experts and just sharing these quick, useful insights. So we have 3 videos out now, and there are more coming. You can also find more B2B resources on that same webpage. So you can kind of think of that as a hub for B2B resources. All right, next slide, please. Okay, another video series that we have. This one is a mini series with 6 episodes, and this one goes beyond just B2B to explore the larger topic of revenue expansion for the broader e-commerce industry. And we partnered with some seasoned experts from leading brands like DeLonghi, we have YSL, JP Morgan, as well as our partners, Coalition, and of course, Feedonomics. So we're really exploring a breadth of topics here. There's things like hidden costs impacting ROI, boosting conversions, unified omni-channel strategies. We talk about international expansion, enhancing UX, and forecasting for 2024 and beyond. So lots of useful information in those videos if you want to check them out. And then on the next slide, got a few last resources worth highlighting. We have a new BOPUS guide, buy online, pick up in store, of course. There's strategies and best practices and how to really leverage this to unify your omni-channel experience. So check out that new guide. And then on the B2B front, we also have a new playbook, sort of an ebook, all about how to set yourself up for success when making the move from D2C to wholesale. And then lastly, wanted to call out a customer spotlight on Sam McGee of the Beer Bat. So if you're not familiar with this brand, the Beer Bat is Sam's invention. It's this souvenir cup that's shaped like a bat, and they sell to teams in the major leagues, minor leagues, as well as leagues in Canada, Mexico, Japan, South Korea. So our team went to interview Sam for a case study because he had moved to BigCommerce. He had outgrown Shopify and WooCommerce and needed something to scale this global complex brand. And what we found was such a layered story of this utterly fascinating entrepreneur, inventor, and educator. And in addition to running the Beer Bat, Sam also teaches a course on Black entrepreneurship at Hartford University in Connecticut. So this is just a really interesting story about how he's learning, as the Beer Bat expands, and then also imparting this wisdom to this next generation of entrepreneurs. And of course, it's fitting for Black History Month. So check out that story and more customer stories on our blog, along with tons of other content. So I believe that's it for me. I'm going to pass it over to Troy and the product team. Hope you get a lot of value out of these resources, and we'll see you next quarter. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Hello, everyone. It is great to be with you on this quarter's town hall. Let's get into these product updates. So next slide. And the next slide. So these are the updates we're going to share with you today. You can see we have an incredible lineup of product updates to share. And I want to dedicate the maximum amount of time to sharing these updates with you and leaving plenty of time for the Q&A. So my introductions are going to be very brief. A few that I will call out. So as Brent alluded to earlier, we're going to share a lot more about Catalyst. That's our new reference architecture and starter kit for composable builds. We're going to tell you how developers can get access to that today to start building beautiful, engaging sites. We are going to give you an update on the rise of instant commerce, something you may not have heard of yet, and how you can attract buyers who are looking for same-day local delivery. For B2B sellers, you're going to hear a lot about a suite of new B2B features, including our next generation of quote management for sales reps and how that dramatically streamlines the quoting process. We've got some really cool and some really powerful updates on new AI tools and a lot more. So let's get into this. Nathan, please tell us more about Catalyst.
Thanks, Troy. Happy to dig into it. Yeah, so as Brent kind of hinted at earlier, and I'm happy to expand on, we've recently released Catalyst, which is essentially a new starter kit for our customers who want to build, headless or composable storefronts on top of BigCommerce. Catalyst is live today. It's an open source product that we've released on GitHub, and we also have a cool landing page over at catalyst.dev that kind of shows you how to get started and enlightens you on some of the value props here. That's also where the documentation will live for the developers in the audience. Catalyst is really based on the last 7 years of experience that BigCommerce has in headless, and that's across I think over 4,000 headless implementations on the platform to date, and about 3,500 of those live today. So from all of that experience, we've done our best to synthesize kind of what works, what doesn't work, the problems that we've seen people encounter when they choose to build their storefront in this sort of architecture. And we've tried to bake all of those lessons learned into Catalyst to kind of help people, steer away from some of the pitfalls and have a really good experience and get the storefront that they were looking for the entire time when they're adopting this technology. On the next slide, we've got a super quick video in which I wanted to demonstrate the performance of Catalyst. Catalyst is pretty much the fastest BigCommerce storefront that's ever existed. And hopefully we're able to get that video to play. It's always risky trying to do a video in a presentation like this. So this is me just clicking around, demonstrating, essentially the instant page load performance. But just so that you guys trust me and don't think this is kind of a synthetic demo or that I sped this up by 2x or something like that, we've also posted the link to that site there in the chat, so you can click around and validate it for yourself. As Brent kind of hinted at earlier, our efforts to build Catalyst have taught us a lot of lessons about e-commerce website performance and some new methodologies that we've learned from Next.js that we're now able to also bring back into our Stencil platform. So I think you'll see a lot of performance improvements kind of coming from this experimentation, and we'll be able to bring to all of our customers. On the next slide there, I wanted to kind of clarify, why is this a completely unstyled website? Well, that is very much intentional, right? The default starting point of Catalyst is not meant to be pretty. It's meant to be essentially a blank sheet of paper, right? And that's based on our understanding that a lot of the customers that are coming to us intending to start on headless and composable are exactly the same customers that already have a really strong idea of brand and already have brand assets and designs. And really, we wanted to give them the best possible foundation for branding this, right? Which means that it needs to start unbranded so that you don't have to rip anything out in order to start building up. So that's minimally styled, maximally stylable. And I like to think of this as the perfect starting point where, as a designer, as a front-end developer, you can kind of get out your metaphorical paintbrush and start turning this into your brand. But from an underlying technology perspective, the great thing about Catalyst is that it already works, right? Out of the box, all the BigCommerce features are already implemented under the hood there. You've got your entire purchase funnel, homepage, category pages, faceted search, textual search, product detail pages, supporting the, all the features of the BigCommerce catalog and the ability to add to cart and checkout. So inside of 5 minutes, you could deploy this and have a transactional storefront if you didn't care about how it looks. But for us, that's meant to be the ideal starting point where it's functionally complete, and then you can start customizing it and turning it into your brand. So it's a great technical foundation ready for your brand's coat of paint. Another element of that technical underpinning that I want to really highlight is that we've really aimed for a point of perfection as it relates to the things that all e-commerce merchants care about, right? Performance, SEO optimization, and nowadays also being really strong in terms of website accessibility. So we're actually targeting Lighthouse scores of 100 across the board for this. And we are actually hitting those today and tracking against regressions that we find as we develop the product so that we can address them quickly. So once again, the hope there would be that you're starting from a point of essentially perfection in terms of performance and these other factors. And then your job is to kind of maintain that as you turn that into your brand instead of having to build up to that from the beginning, which we think will be a great starting point for a lot of our brands and retailers. On the next slide, just a quick list here of things that already work within Catalyst, and then of course a lot of things that are upcoming. So from today, Catalyst is available as an open source product on github.com and catalyst.dev. We have both a CLI for developers as well as an easy, deploy button to get Catalyst live on Vercel if you want to kind of experiment with it inside of just a couple of minutes. And then we've got that Next.js reference storefront that's, kind of feature complete from an e-commerce transaction funnel perspective. As Brent also hinted at, a lot of the improvements that have gone into Catalyst have caused us to improve a lot of underlying technology, not only for all other forms of headless, but also for our customers on Stencil. So there's been a whole bunch of GraphQL API improvements, breadth, depth, and performance, and lots of new features that have been added to GraphQL as part of the Catalyst program. We also now have a nice API client that wraps our GraphQL API, makes it easier to use for our developers, as well as a React component library that's part of Catalyst that you can actually use independently if you've already got a React or Next.js website and you don't have the luxury of kind of doing a greenfield implementation. You can still use these components of Catalyst to make your life a little bit easier in your existing implementation. I did want to mention that Catalyst is already multi-storefront ready and already supports, all of our multi-storefront features there, as well as that great performance in SEO. But the job's not done, and there's a ton of things upcoming. Things that we're working on now are the end-to-end support for all the sort of customer logged in areas like my account and the order history, as well as doing a bunch of work to, track our upcoming release around multi-geo selling on multi-storefront, which includes things like localization and translation. A couple of other things we're working on there, including a whole bunch of integrations from the most popular technology partners that we've seen historically in our headless and composable builds, and making sure that those are very easy, eventually even turnkey to light up within Catalyst. On the next slide, perhaps you have a desire to know a little bit more or dig in. So let's keep going. And I would encourage you to head on over to catalyst.dev if this sounds like something you'd like to experiment with. Even if you've got an existing BigCommerce store and a live storefront today, or maybe a staging store, you can actually create an additional Catalyst storefront and just see your existing catalog within Catalyst, or some sample data within Catalyst as well, if you want to start playing around with it in kind of a safe environment and see if it's possibly a good direction for you and your brand in the future. That's all I have on Engage today. Next up, I'll hand off to Matt Dornfeld and the Feedonomics team to take us through Attract.
Thanks, Nathan. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Dornfeld. I'm a senior director and head of global partnerships at Feedonomics. And today, on the next slide here, I'm going to be speaking with you about instant commerce, which is a new product category that we're bringing to market this quarter and beyond. So on the next slide, what I wanted to, underscore really is that, during COVID and really since then, we have seen that given the macroeconomic challenges, the way folks have been trained to shop has changed. There's just a lot of nuance to how folks now shop online, and that's translated into both online and offline experience changes. Notably, folks like their stuff really, really fast. When they see something online, they want to get it as soon as humanly possible. And similarly, where shoppers discover products has also changed quite a bit as well. I'm sure many of you have noticed that Amazon traffic has picked up for you, and that's because consumer behavior has started to change, where folks actually discover the products they want to buy on Amazon and go there more and more routinely. So to that end, on the next slide, what I want to walk you through is how instant commerce is going to really bring new experiences to market for you in a way that both connects the online world to your offline inventory. So here, really, what we're seeing is there's a new way for clients to think about how I can use my site traffic that might be happening on an Amazon location that I also own, but also spin up quicker inventory turns in another location. So to that end, in simple terms, instant commerce is going to enable brands to surface local inventory on their Amazon sites, and then use that traffic to translate to more in-person foot traffic as well. So in layman's terms, for a shopper, that basically means discover and buy my product on Amazon, and then ship from or pick up from local store near my home. So on the next slide, we'll walk you through how that works. So generally speaking, you as a brand will partner with a solution like Feedonomics to surface local inventory to your marketplace listings. So as a shopper, you go onto Amazon and then you click, yes, I want to buy these shoes. You'll then be able to actually choose from local stores near you that have inventory available, ideally within the next 45 minutes or whatever delivery window makes sense for you. As the customer goes through that journey and they click purchase, that order information is going to be passed downstream to your point of sale location or your order management system or ERP or whatever you're using downstream to facilitate order flow. When the shopper goes and picks up that order or has it delivered from a local driver, that information is passed back up to the marketplace via a solution like Feedonomics, so that your inventory counts are also kept updated on the marketplace. So really what we're again doing is enabling the shoppers to choose how they want to experience your brand from a fulfillment perspective, because they're already shopping on Amazon, and now we've given them a new way to get their products much, much faster local to their home. So the next slide, we'll just really tap into a couple different benefits. Naturally, I don't need to explain Amazon to anyone here. It's been around for ages. But for me personally, what I view as really the most exciting opportunity is a new way to bolt on an immense amount of site traffic that directly influences how fast your inventory can turn over in your brick and mortar store locations. And so, historically in the early days, marketplaces like an Amazon or Walmart were looked at as directly competitive to brick and mortar locations. And, depending on the brand, that may or may not still be the case. But this is the first time that folks like Amazon or Walmart will actually be facilitating something that enables that traffic happening on those marketplaces to directly influence what happens in your brick and mortar store locations. So the next slide, we'll just tap into what those requirements look like. Generally speaking, we find that brands and retailers that are both in the US and have generally 5 to 10 locations available will start to recognize real value earlier on in this kind of a program. And just like you'd expect today on an Amazon or a Walmart, having a product in the right price range is going to be really impactful. So typically on Amazon, we see a lot of products that sell for $25 to $49. And the goal here is to say, you're already doing really well in these marketplaces, or maybe you're starting to explore them. Continue on with that strategy, continue to invest in the right ads programs and campaigns and creative to drive site traffic to those PDPs, but then leverage this new fulfillment experience to make those PDPs much more likely to convert. The next slide, we'll just click into one more. Steps to get started. Generally speaking, onboarding is fairly straightforward in the sense that the Feedonomics team here is trained and ready to go to have conversations with you to understand what your business looks like today. Where are you selling today? What marketplaces are the most efficient for you? How are you selling on those places? And then we'll work into more of the technical details, either with your in-house team, your downstream order inventory management systems, ERPs and beyond, or maybe you work with an SI or some sort of integration partner. Whatever the case may be, we're prepared on our side to have those productive conversations to help you understand what kind of go-to-market timeline could you work with, what kind of experience and outcome could you expect, and then help you plan for that as you head into the rest of the year. So if any of this sounds interesting, and I truly hope it does, on the next slide, just quick last steps here. Feel free to scan the code using your phone. And then, the sooner you get involved with us, the sooner we can start mapping out what would it take to get live in a program like this. And if you have any direct questions, I'm happy to answer those. Easily available on LinkedIn for direct contact. Again, my name is Matt Dornfeld. Feel free to reach out. And with that, over to you, Jason Nickel.
Hey, thanks, Matt. That was a great review of instant commerce and a perfect segue to take us into the need for real-time sync. So I'm Jason Nickel, VP of Product at Feedonomics, and I'm excited to be here today to give you a walkthrough of the Feedonomics event-driven architecture, which enables real-time sync. So Feedonomics is now released into general availability, our market-leading solution across 3 key categories. From the onset, we designed a solution with scale in mind that can power Fortune 100 companies like Dell. And in terms of flexibility, we facilitate real-time sync by supporting any level of configuration using custom batches and export triggers that can fire off when any attribute in your catalog is updated, or should you prefer, even when select attributes like price and inventory update. And we have market-leading channel coverage where we support real-time sync for hundreds of top e-commerce channels. Next slide, please. Now, there are 2 sides of the equation to get this feature to work. First, you need to get the data into Feedonomics. And for this, we have 2 options. One is through our seamless integration with BigCommerce, where we have a connector that supports the BigCommerce V3 catalog API. And it subscribes to the event updates on your BigCommerce store. Our other option is to integrate through our event-driven REST API, which opens up the ability to sync from any source system. So this would be something like your ERP or any other platform that houses your data. Now that we have your data in Feedonomics, we can configure how that data is sent to different channels. And so we support real-time sync for hundreds of channels, and that includes channels such as Google, Facebook, and Instagram on the advertising side, or on the marketplace front, Amazon, Walmart, Target Plus, and then social channels that support the checkout experience, such as TikTok and Instagram shops. On the next slide, we will talk about some of the use cases where real-time sync is the solution to a variety of different problems. So on Google, we recently did a study and found that more than 50% of all Google account suspensions and product disapprovals are the results of price and availability mismatch errors. Now, when we get into marketplaces, they typically track order defect rates, and this is mostly due to order cancellations as a result of overselling. This can result in a variety of consequences, ranging from account suspension, increased fees, as far as reduced product visibility on the marketplace. Now, both of these are due to latency and updates and are solved with real-time synchronization. Another use case we can solve for is dynamic pricing. We actually have a merchant who sells gold coins, and their products are tied to the market price of gold. As such, they require constant updates of prices across their catalog and all their sales channels. And then lastly, another very common use case is merchants that have very broad-ranging products, but very limited inventory, such as 1 or 2 units per SKU. And this makes it very difficult for them to sell on more than one channel without overselling. Now, on the next slide, if we step back from real-time sync and we take a look at event-driven architecture, what we'll find are a few common challenges that our solution helps to overcome. We see that a lot of companies, often enterprise companies, will have the need to implement an event pipeline, and this is to overcome the challenges posed by disparate systems that can't easily export their data. These enterprise clients often have very large catalogs as well, and these extensive size catalogs take a long time to process, and this can be quite resource intensive and costly as well. So through our architecture, it's possible for them to set up Delta updates that will only sync data when the changes in their platform make it more efficient, rather than doing a full state sync. Another challenge with pushing large full state catalogs to sales channels APIs is that if you're doing a full state feed file to an API, you can easily run up against their rate limits, preventing important updates from taking place. So to solve for this, Feedonomics offers flexible batching and triggering of exports so that only data that has changed will be sent to the sales channels. Now, lastly, but just as important as everything else that we've covered, is the customer experience. In a recent McKinsey survey, it was found that 70% of shoppers indicated that if the products they were looking for were out of stock, they would most likely switch to another brand or another retailer. And so with that, we're pleased to say that our event-based real-time sync is the solution to these problems. And this has been proven out with Dell, who has been testing and successfully using this feature for over a year. Again, it is now in general release. It's available, and we look forward to hearing from any interested parties who'd like to know more. I'll hand off to Derek now. Thank you.
Hey team, I'm Derek. I'm Derek from the product management team. A couple updates on conversion to help your store perform better. We got an update with our work on product recommendations powered by Google AI. This enables you to offer your shoppers personalized product recommendations that are updated in real time based on their activity on the storefront. The initial solution will be focused on the product detail page, the PDP. And the way we're building this is you'll be able to consume a storefront GraphQL API to get those product recommendations and then build that into the PDP page and create the experience that you're looking for. This solution is going to be run through the Google Cloud Platform account. So we'll take all of your data and handle the real-time data syncing and then run that, and you can do model configuration directly within GCP, Google Cloud Platform. We're approaching a closed beta milestone coming very soon for enterprise stores. So if you're interested in participating in this solution, reach out to your CSM and we'll get you involved. Over to you, Nick.
Thanks, Derek. Hi, everyone. This is Nick from product team. As Brent has already mentioned earlier today, during our Braintree Fastlane early adopter program, we've seen impressive improvements to our checkout process. Additionally, today, I have more updates for you. We successfully integrated Fastlane by PayPal into our PayPal Commerce Platform integration, representing a significant advancement in our pursuit for a seamless checkout experience. One of the standout features of this new checkout solution is its ability to recognize and autofill guest checkouts for shoppers with Fastlane profiles, in addition to offering non-Fastlane shoppers with PayPal wallet accounts the ability to sign up for a Fastlane profile using their existing PayPal account information. Through close collaboration with PayPal, we've deeply integrated Fastlane by PayPal into our native checkout experience. In addition to what Brent has mentioned, here's a short summary of actually how it works. The shoppers with Fastlane profiles are instantly recognized at the start of the checkout with the option to autofill payment details for high-speed purchases using passwordless authentication. Shoppers without Fastlane profiles are offered a seamless way to create a one-use information stored within their PayPal wallet account or by simply saving their payment details during the checkout, enabling them to autofill future checkouts across all Fastlane integrated merchants. Stay tuned for more updates to PayPal Fastlane on our BigCommerce blog. And now I'm handing on to Mackenzie for exciting news about the quote workflow.
Hello, I'm Mackenzie Mayer. I'm a product manager for B2B, and I'm here to talk to you about some exciting quote updates. Next slide. Here at BigCommerce, we understand how pivotal quotes are to your B2B business. I had the pleasure of working with many of our brands and partners on optimizing this process while at B2B Ninja, and I'm excited to impart those learnings onto the new Quotes 2.0 interface for B2B Edition. Our goal was to make the quoting process as efficient as possible for the sales rep. So no more quotes getting lost in an email, no more double data entry, and no more excuses that the system is too cumbersome. The early bird gets the worm, and in sales, the quick responder converts the quote. So we connected the dots between the sales rep and the buyer. So quotes can now be managed from a single page with the ability to edit any field at any point in the quoting process. This allows a quote to be built more organically with the flow of the buyer or the sales rep. We're also adding both additional automated email notifications to help the rep and the buyer stay better connected, and quote extra fields, which can optionally be displayed in the buyer portal to collect and store additional data on a quote. And most importantly, we've improved the speed at which a sales rep can convert a quote. All of this translates into time savings so that your sales rep can spend more time on the important things like nurturing their leads and relationships. Slide. We want to meet the sales rep where they're at and accommodate their unique work styles. So each rep will now be able to decide how they want their quotes to display and function, including an optimized configurable workflow for adding products. You can also see that quotes can now be tagged, which allows for better organization and collaboration with your sales team. And best of all, this was designed with mobile in mind, so your sales reps can work from anywhere on any device while on the go. And we're not done yet. We have a roadmap full of quoting functionalities that we can't wait to share with you. We will begin a gradual rollout and will continue to roll things out as they are ready over the next couple of quarters. And with that, I will now pass it to John to talk about some awesome things we've just delivered.
Wow, I am freaking excited about quotes. If you guys know my history, I came here. Kenzie was on my team at B2B Ninja. So really, really excited to be imparting that into B2B Edition. With that, we're moving into some other really big improvements. And these are the types of improvements that you often don't see or feel after you set things up. And that's for good reason. Transactional emails. We want to make sure that we're automating these responses and they're professional and they're in your brand voice. So we've completely rebuilt the transactional email system for B2B Edition. Now this will look very similar. It's exactly the same as the rest of the other transactional emails within BigCommerce. And this enables you to have that consistent brand messaging. So if you're on B2B Edition already, you should be able to get this. If it hasn't rolled out, give it a couple days. We've just released this, but you can switch to these new templates and you have the availability for new phrases. There's additional variables in there, multi-storefront compatible. You can translate it to the language of your choice and set up the intervals with which you want these things to update and reach out to your customers. So for example, with quotes, if you want to do automatic notifications when they haven't converted, you can set that interval there. So really excited. Again, this is one of those small details, tons of work, but it takes away that toil from the B2B business. So we're automatically sending out these notifications and in your brand voice. Next slide. Last town hall, we announced a whole lot of stuff, and we've been working really, really hard to get these out the door. And I'm thrilled to tell you that these are all available now. So if you're on an eligible B2B Edition account, company credit availability, this is a feature that enables you to set credit at the company level, and you can control what happens in the checkout. This is really built for ERP integration. So there's a server-to-server API. So the expectation is the ledger is feeding in that credit information, and we're controlling what's happening for the buyer when they're going through the checkout. Custom shipping for quotes. This was an early improvement, part of that Quotes 2.0 workout. We know that often you need to put a custom shipping value into that quote and send it, and it's a one-off situation. Very common in B2B. You can now do that really efficiently in B2B Edition. Small detail, all of these are requests from you guys. Shopping list and item notes. I couldn't believe how popular of a request this is, but enabling buyers to add notes to their shopping list. That's available now in the buyer portal. So keep that feedback coming, and we'll keep iterating the product. Thank you so much, and I will hand it to Christina for international expansion.
Thank you, John. Christina from BigCommerce product team. Let's talk about international expansion. So back in 1978, a small group of artisans from Venice, the Italian Venice, not the Florida one, founded a brand called Terra Firma, which means solid ground in Latin, as a collective space for local craftspeople to showcase their work. Their focus on traditional techniques and high quality materials was a success, and the brand slowly grew beyond Italy. Shoppers from France and UK seeking handcrafted goods started placing orders. From there, Terra Firma's international success story took a new chapter. While their existing website was serving customers in Italy, they recognized the need for more personalized experiences in established markets like France and UK. And with a strong foothold in Europe, Terra Firma turned its sights across the Atlantics. So shipments to the US were handled through their Italian warehouse, but growing demand and cultural nuances prompted them to consider a dedicated approach and a dedicated US website. And it was a success, a great example of a homegrown brand becoming a well-known global brand. This is an AI generated story, but I'm telling you this because your international expansion journey with BigCommerce is now easier than ever. Next. So we have opened up closed beta to create localized storefronts with local content, design, catalog, and checkout experience to all enterprise stores. And our brands are already leveraging this, going live in this beta. As Brent mentioned today with Did Our Story, this is a real non-AI generated Italian brand example this time. And I would love to be telling your stories during the next town halls if you join this beta. Next. So in this beta, you can sell to new markets faster. Like Terra Firma example, just spin up a dedicated storefront for any market you sell to, localized shopper journey to match the needs of the shoppers in different geographies, quickly launch and test new markets, make fast changes, and manage the world in one place. Next. To set you up for a successful international expansion, start with a shopper experience. So select the language for each storefront, localized pricing strategy for each country you're selling to, inclusive of having different prices for the same currency, create local promotions and discounts for local holidays, localized product catalog, optimize for SEO, create localized checkout experience with currencies, local tax rates, and payment options. And what's most important, you can expand internationally, regardless if you're selling to B2C or B2B consumers, as B2B Edition is also compatible with this release. If this all sounds like something your business will benefit from and your store is on enterprise plan, just reach out to your account manager for more details on how to get access. Okay, so bigger picture is set. Now let's jump into the details. Localization always starts with a currency, because understanding how much you would actually need to pay is crucial for making a purchase decision. So when customers see prices displayed in their own currency, it removes the confusion and builds trust. This transparency makes shoppers more comfortable completing purchase, because you don't need to recalculate the price to understand how much you would actually pay. And you can already leverage this for growing your international brand with multi-storefront. So if we go back to our AI-generated brand example, Terra Firma expansion to France, UK, and US with multi-storefront solution, this would allow them to set only euro shown to Italian and French shoppers, pounds for UK ones, and dollars for the US storefront. With this approach, your shoppers will no longer see these currency selectors, which are kind of indicating that this shopper experience was built not only for you, but for a lot of other shoppers in different countries. You will only see your local currency, and this experience really feels domestic and personalized. And we all love homegrown brands, and local currency makes the entire shopper experience really feels like home. And this ultimately leads to higher conversion rates and revenue growth. And to make localization effect even more powerful, prices in local currencies are followed by local payment methods that shoppers can select when checking out. So altogether, this creates a smooth checkout experience for customers. And from here, over to Rowan to continue Terra Firma's story and about localizing payments.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Rowan. I do have an exciting update on the payments front for our multi-storefront brands and retailers. Around the end of Q1, we're aiming to roll out a new payments UI. It's going to be in beta, but it's going to enable unique payment configurations per channel on MSF stores. So what does that mean? Let's go back to our multi-geo brand example of Terra Firma. They're operating a few different storefront channels. So they've got one for Italy, one for the UK, one for France, and now a new one to serve the US. So 4 total. It's probably safe to assume that the payment settings that suit one of those channels don't necessarily make the best fit for all of the others. Shoppers might demand different payment methods depending on their context and currency. Terra Firma might need different provider settings enabled per channel. They also likely want the revenue from each of these channels to flow to unique merchant account credentials on the provider side if they're separate business units. And lastly, maybe they're able to use a single provider to cover all of their channels and currencies, but it's also quite possible that they need a mix of several different providers. Now, with this new multi-storefront payments UI, Terra Firma can actually configure their payment options to that level of local granularity. As part of this beta, a wide range of our providers are already going to be equipped with the ability to create as many configurations per currency as you need, each with unique payment settings. We'll be adding that capability for the rest of our providers throughout the beta period, but at a minimum, you'll be able to determine which configurations appear on which channels. So that means no more one-size-fits-all approach for payments in multi-storefront. So keep an eye out for some comms around this towards the end of this quarter, maybe late March, maybe early April. We can't wait to get it in the hands of more brands and lots of valuable feedback flowing back to us. All right, that's it from me. Over to you, Annie, to tell us about tax.
Thank you, Rowan. Hi, everyone. Ani from the product team here to share some more exciting updates on the tax front that help your business grow and engage and expand to shoppers from multiple geographies. Continuing on that Terra Firma journey, to engage shoppers' regional preferences of how they view product prices, Terra Firma assigns shoppers to relevant tax zones, and thus the tax rates and display price properties within apply. This functionality enables to show shoppers from Italy, France, and UK prices inclusive of taxes, while those in the US are displayed prices exclusive of taxes. Thus, all shoppers get a localized storefront experience from the very first touch point of their browsing journey, and not just at checkout when they enter the destination address, thereby minimizing the frictions and price fluctuations at checkout and streamlining the entire checkout process journey. The setup is pretty easy. can be done via control panel as well as APIs. Within the tax settings, opt to use either the geolocation or a default shopper tax zone for the assignments. Next, please. Expanding in the US brought new challenges for Terra Firma, particularly navigating the complex tax systems. They addressed this by leveraging a tax partner solution. However, to manage cost and streamline operations, Terra Firma plans to limit the API calls being made to the tax partner confined only to the US orders and utilize basic tax for orders in regions where tax needs are a bit more simpler, like that in Italy, France, and UK. A bit later in this quarter, Terra Firma will be equipped to do exactly that. That is, to opt for regions where to use an automatic tax provider to suit their operational needs. This approach not only reduces Terra Firma's total cost of ownership to eliminate any need of a custom tax app, but also lowers transactional charges associated with utilizing a tax partner solution for even the regions that have simpler tax regimes. Again, with this functionality as well, setup is pretty simple. The use of tax provider targeting section within the provider connection page will help you determine and control which regions you want to use tax quotations from the tax partner. Your selections will be as granular as subdivisions of one or more countries. So you have a lot more flexibility and control. So look forward to those updates coming up soon, later during the end of this quarter. These are the updates from my front. Over to you, Derek.
Hey team, it's Derek again from the product team. A couple of updates. One thing that's important for you to be aware of, particularly if you have a lot of shoppers like Terra Firma that shop from the European Economic Area, Google is making some changes to how they process data. This is going to be relevant, particularly if you're using Google Analytics for tracking data. For any shoppers in the economic area, you need to be collecting consent from those shoppers to be able to use their data for analytics and advertising purposes. If you're not collecting consent for those use cases, Google will be reducing how they leverage that data for various solutions they provide, from analytics to advertising. So this is a really important new capability that Google's coming out, as well as how they're changing how they process data. We've updated our Google Analytics 4 integration as of today to support the consent mode functionality. That's timed exactly to align with when Google is changing the way they're processing data, which starts in March. So if you're using our Google Analytics 4 integration and you have shoppers in the European Economic Area, you're good to go as long as you've got that consent banner turned on. It's really important you have the consent banner turned on, because that's how we're able to collect the consent and pass that on to Google Analytics 4. So just heads up about that. If you have all that set up already, nothing you need to do. It's already been rolled out. Changes are in effect. You're good to go. If you're doing anything more custom, such as using the Big Open Data Layer, we've also introduced 2 new events to the Big Open Data Layer. We often call this the bottle, which enable you to easily subscribe to the shopper's data privacy preferences and consume those and pass those on to any analytics tags and integrations that you've built, whether they be Google or otherwise. Okay, excellent. Next up is we're working on enabling you to leverage a tool called BigQuery ML. And BigQuery ML is exciting because using sort of standard SQL techniques, you can start to do predictive analytics on top of the BigQuery data that we provide and the BigQuery integration. So we're working on use cases such as predicting the future lifetime value as new customers come into your store and providing a perspective based on what we know about them and trends from other shoppers, as well as the ability to segment those customers. So if you're interested in working with us and doing sort of a partnership and building this out with your data, our engineers and myself would like to partner with you. There's a link to the sign-up form. Key things to know if you're interested in it is you do need a fair amount of data in your store, so a fair amount of orders. So if you have a long order history, that's really helpful, and you'll need to be using our Google BigQuery integration to make use of this. But if those 2 things fit and this use case is interesting to you, please check out that link, sign up. I'll get notified directly, and if your store looks like a good fit, we'll reach out and we can start working together. Okay, next slide, over to you, Vivek.
Thanks, Eric. Hi, everyone. I'm Vivek, and I'm a senior software engineer on the mobile team, and I work on the BigCommerce mobile app. So if you're not already aware, the iOS and Android mobile apps have a lot of great features for managing your store on the go. That includes analytics, catalog management, and order and fulfillment capabilities. So if you haven't got the chance to use the mobile app yet, you can use the QR code at the bottom right of the slide there, and that should direct you to the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store. That being said, I'm really excited to present the new Create Shipment feature that is currently available on Android and coming soon to iOS. The feature can be accessed in order details, where a ship button will direct you to the new Create Shipment screen. Here, you'll be able to create shipments and use the barcode scanner to verify product fulfillment and also enter tracking information. Next slide, please. So the barcode scanner helps you quickly and efficiently add products to your shipments. So as you can see on the right, you can essentially get through all the products in a shipment without ever having to actually leave the barcode scanner, while also validating that all the products are correct and accounted for. You can also add tracking numbers to your shipments by scanning any shipping labels that contain a barcode. Next slide, please. So we've already started working on further enhancements to Create Shipment, such as the ability to sort the packing list of products and also view gift wrapping information. Next slide, please, and over to you, Piotr.
Hello, this is Piotr from BigCommerce product team. We've recently launched a set of new advanced permissions you can assign to your employees or developers. They give those users an ability to manage API keys and install and run applications. With that, store owner permission is no longer needed for those tasks, increasing store security. And we have more permissions improvements in the works. With that, let's get back to Drew and Q&A.
Thank you, Piotr. Appreciate it, everyone, for those exciting updates. I want to get through as much of this Q&A as we can, so I'm going to pull Troy up and we are going to get started. Hey, Troy, first question I've got for you. Are there plans on launching native multi-warehouse inventory management?
Absolutely. In fact, we've already launched multi-location inventory into the platform. A couple things to be aware of. So multi-location inventory is right. You can have retail locations or warehouse locations. Both of those are supported today. You can define any number of those depending on the allocation on your BigCommerce subscription plan. Those can be managed by API or through the control panel. Now, there are a suite of APIs that allow developers to create buy online, pickup in store, and curbside pickup type solutions. We are working on a out-of-the-box native solution for Stencil and Catalyst. So that's something that is in our plan, and we'll have more to say about that in the future. In terms of multi-origin shipping solutions, which is another common use case for MLI or multi-location inventory, we have a number of solutions in the app marketplace. One of the more popular ones is one called Random Retail, but there are others in the marketplace, so I would refer you to those.
Wonderful. And are there any plans on adding native backorder functionality?
Definitely on our radar. If this is important to you and your business, I would a little call out to go to the BigCommerce Ideas site and upvote that and share your use cases there. I do know there are several backorder third-party solutions in our app marketplace, and so you can look to those in the meantime, but it's definitely on our radar.
Thank you. Another question I have for you here. What is the timeline in developing bundling and temporary sale pricing? For example, marking products down 10% by brand or category.
Yeah, there's a few things to unpack in here. So there's two parts to this question. One is around bundling. Often people refer to this as kitting and bundling. Yes, absolutely on our radar. Don't have a timeline or a plan that I can share with you in this call today, but know that that's something that we intend to want to do, and there are some third-party solutions in the app marketplace. Okay, the second part of this question was around sale pricing. Today, so we've got the promotions manager, which allows you by coupons and automatic discount once you get to the cart or checkout, and there are very sophisticated rules that you can create to do those discounts. This question here is, and then outside of that, you can mark down prices using the sale price field in either on your catalog, or if you're on one of our enterprise plans, there's a sale price field on our price list. When you use that sale price field in price list or on the catalog field, that would be the recommended option for, I think, the use case you're referring to here, which is this temporary sale pricing. Now, I appreciate that that may be a lot of work if you're discounting a lot of products at once. There are APIs available to do that, and again, I know there are really good apps in our app marketplace for being able to, like in this use case, you'll be able to discount a brand or category and have it populate that sale price field on price list or the catalog field.
Wonderful, thank you. Zooming out just a little bit, this person asks, is there a recommended POS for a BigCommerce store?
Yeah, we have excellent options for point of sale, really depending on the size and the complexity of your business. If you have a more sophisticated business, perhaps are a bit larger, solutions like Teamwork or Heartland or Lightspeed are very common, and there are excellent integrations with BigCommerce, again, available in the app marketplace. If you have a smaller business and you're based in Europe, solutions like ePause Now or Zettel are very popular. Here in the US, solutions like Square and Clover are popular. So take a look at any of those.
Wonderful. And sticking with payments, this viewer asks, what are some best practices to avoid credit card chargebacks and fraud?
This is a great topic, and we have dedicated a large section of our community area to this topic, and we've written a pretty expansive and complete guide on how to help manage chargebacks and fraud. So I would refer you to that. I believe one of the moderators will paste the link into the chat panel. And then, of course, there are excellent third-party solutions in our app marketplace as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Next, this person asks, are there any plans on the capability of adding more custom order status fields?
So custom order, or the order status fields can be customized today by relabeling them. We don't have any immediate plans to allow you to add more. That said, though, if you have use cases where that's important, we'd love to learn more about that. And again, I would refer you to the BigCommerce Ideas site. And if that idea is not already in there, please add it. Or if it's already there, you can upvote that. And we keep an eye on that.
Thank you. And I think I've got one more question for you, Troy. This person asks, are there any plans of improving the ability to create custom checkout pages, such as adding product categories in the cart?
Yes, the BigCommerce checkout is highly extensible. And there's kind of a few ways you can go about this. For more advanced or sophisticated use cases, we actually open source the checkout. So you can, I'll get one of the moderators to paste a link into the chat panel. That page from our developer portal will guide you through the various options for either building a checkout from scratch using our public cart and checkout APIs, or taking the out-of-the-box checkout and starting from there and customizing it. We are also working with select partners at the moment on a lighter weight ability to extend the checkout. We call those checkout extensions. It's basically the ability to inject custom content into our native checkout. the use case that you're mentioning here is probably a good use case for that. That's currently in beta. We're working with select partners now, and we will have more to say about checkout extensions in the not too distant future. But in the meantime, take a look at that page on our developer portal, which will guide you on all the various options for customizing checkout.
Thank you, Troy. All right, I appreciate it so much. And I see we've got a question for Brent in here. If Brent, you want to come on and help us out with this one. Hey, Brent. So this person asks, when will BigCommerce's app marketplace grow to include more app choices that are available on Shopify, but not on BigCommerce, such as address validation apps?
We already have lots of address validation capabilities that are sort of Google's free stuff out of the box, address for enterprise merchants. But the bigger question is, our apps marketplace is today more than 1,000 apps across all categories. The really exciting enabler of large expansion in the apps marketplace is going to come later this year, when we release for app partners what we call automated billing, which is going to give them the ability to add their billing for their app onto a BigCommerce bill. And why is this a big enabler of more apps? Because for a lot of these app developers, it's much more work to actually create your own individual custom billing engine. Like, how do you collect money from the merchant? How do you process regular subscriptions? How do you do cancellations or refunds? And many app developers just want to create an app, and they want the billing to be done by somebody who's already got a billing engine that they can inherit, add it to the customer bill. It's easier for the customer. So that capability, which, for example, you get on your iPhone, where, in essence, most of the apps are going to bill through your iPhone payment method, we're creating in our apps marketplace. And I think that there are out there in e-commerce thousands of smaller app developers. These are going to be smaller app developers. The bigger companies already have a billing engine, but we'll be releasing those APIs to those app developers. And so new apps can come into the BigCommerce apps marketplace and inherit our billing capabilities on behalf of both the app developer and customers. So that's going to be a big enabler. We've been working on this for a little while now, and we're already starting to test it internally. We look forward to bringing that to all of you later this year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brent. Really appreciate it. And Christina, we've got one for you.
Coming.
On the lovely multi-storefront. So this person asks, on multi-storefront enabled stores, is there a way to limit the use of gift certificates to only the storefront from which the certificate was purchased? Great question.
Thank you, Drew. I think gift certificates, they would appreciate being refreshed first. So in our roadmap and the future roadmap, we are planning a full redesign of gift certificates, which will include language translation support to be configured differently for different storefronts. So this is planned for the future. And as of right now, you can explore partner solutions. There are some great solutions available on App Marketplace, built by AppWix or by Fusion, and they are fully optimized to work with multi-storefront. So meanwhile, please check our App Marketplace to find a good solution for gift certificates.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christina. And Nathan, you are up. We've got a few questions for you here.
Yeah.
First, this person asks, will Page Builder be adding any future functionality for the native blog? Any plans to add new widget capabilities?
Yeah, I'll answer this kind of holistically, right? Because when we think about the blog, today that's something that, while you do have kind of that WYSIWYG editor within the control panel, when I look across the industry at how kind of content management in general is handling blogs and landing pages and so forth, I think a lot of marketers prefer like a true visual editing tool that they can use to design, really striking layouts and much better pages. And that's not what we have today. So when we think about improvements here, it is going in that direction of better visual editing tools in general. right? And then giving you those tools in such a way that they can be used for blogs, but they can also be used for landing pages and on other pages of your website. So I don't have, I'd love to say more. I don't have specific announcements right now around what and when, but that's the direction we're going in general. And I think in future town halls, we'll be able to say more.
Awesome. And I've got a Catalyst question for you here. This person asks, with the prominence of Catalyst, will Stencil be sunsetted in the near future?
Yeah, this is a super important question and something that I'd like to, just have a lot of clarity on among our customer base. Catalyst is really focused on folks who, are specifically desire a headless or composable architecture, right? And when we look across our customer base, we know that's not everyone, right? And in fact, in terms of percentage, it's far from the majority of our customers that, currently are kind of desiring that or maybe ever will, right? Because for most of BigCommerce's customers love that SaaS offering with a fully hosted experience inclusive of the storefront. So we think of Catalyst versus Stencil as just kind of different products for different user needs. And far from going away, like Stencil is still being actively invested in. And I think as Brent kind of hinted at earlier, our goal is to make sure that our storefront options have more in common in the future in terms of the APIs available, the functionality available, similar kind of performance and so forth. So that choice should be really more about, do I want, a fully hosted kind of SaaS offering, or do I want more of that, headless and composable ethos? And, different customers want different things. So that's I think, how I would think about it. And if you're on Stencil today, don't worry that like, okay, great, BigCommerce is moving on and my experience is going to kind of degrade from here. If anything, it's quite the opposite, because we'll get a lot of efficiencies from the things that we're building kind of commonality across those platforms.
Awesome. And I hope this doesn't throw you off. I moved this question up a little bit because it looked to be somewhat related. So this person asks, is Catalyst a replacement to Cornerstone?
Yeah, another good question along these same lines. And I think you're right to kind of group those, Drew. I would think of Catalyst as kind of Cornerstone for headless. And in fact, that's how I talk about it internally, right? I think the experience of building headless on BigCommerce and a lot of other platforms in the future is that you would get, what in the developer community you'd call kind of a hello world example, meaning something that's very basic, right? It just shows you, hey, here's the basics of like one API call wired up and like proof that you can show product information on the website, but far from a feature complete, e-commerce storefront. And that's what Catalyst is, and that's what Cornerstone is, right? So if anything, we've been inspired by the benefits that Cornerstone really brought to the Stencil ecosystem and said, we should have an equivalent of that for people who are choosing that headless or composable deployment. So not a replacement, but once again, an alternative and targeted at customers that have that particular set of needs or want to go in that direction.
Well said. Thank you. I've got another one for you here. This person asks, are there any plans on migrating Australian stores to local hosting servers for faster page speed?
Yeah, we do have plans, and I want to kind of lay out, how that looks over the remainder of the year. So our infrastructure engineering team is doing a ton of work to make migration between data centers possible, but it's far from trivial for us on the BigCommerce platform, right? There's a whole bunch of bits and pieces involved in actually completely migrating a store between environments. So there's a whole lot of tooling that has to be built out to make this kind of as automated and safe as possible. So we are doing this today, and we're starting with our enterprise population, where we can, when we can kind of sustain a little bit more of a manual effort to move a given store. And as we're moving those stores kind of one by one, and in many cases with human effort, we're building out the automated tooling that will allow us to scale that out across, thousands of customers that we have in APAC or EMEA, for example, who may have started their journey on the US data center and would like to migrate. So if you're a customer in this position, my guidance would be to reach out to your account manager if you have one, or our client success team if you don't, and they can tell you a little bit more about the plan there and get you on the list for a migration in the future.
Great news. All right. This person asks, what is BigCommerce doing to attract third-party developers to create plugins and features for the platform?
Yeah, I would kind of approach this question from a couple of different angles. There's kind of what we're doing at a platform and product level. There's what we're doing at a commercial level, and then what we're doing in the developer community. So some of the platform and product improvements we've already touched on. There's a ton of investment in terms of the app platform itself with app extensions, which we launched last year, and upcoming checkout extensions, kind of in beta now and improving over the course of this year. There's a whole bunch of improvements to webhooks, both in recent memory and that we will probably announce in the next town hall. And then from a commercial perspective, in addition to the awesome kind of partnership program that we have today, we're very excited to layer on our automated billing capabilities, which will kind of trivialize the process of charging money for apps and other services that you want to sell on the BigCommerce platform, and really make that a lot easier for new partners coming on board. And that's another way to attract those developers. And then in terms of the community angle, our sort of DevRel team is kind of the biggest and most sophisticated it's ever been, and we're doing a lot more events, in terms of hackathons as well as in-person things, to kind of reach out to that audience and encourage more folks to come onto BigCommerce. And we're seeing a lot of success from those efforts as well.
Wonderful. And I know we're at time, but Nathan, I wanted to ask you just one more question to round us out regarding Catalyst. This person would like to know, which industries are the demand for compostable or Catalyst coming from?
It is eco-friendly, but it's composable, not compostable. It's just a little verbal typo you made, Drew, but I found it amusing, so I'm not trying to be
terrible.
Yeah, in terms of industry demand, I don't think of the desire for headless and composable as being industry specific. I think of it as being kind of tied to the stage that a customer is at, or their business is at, or their level of kind of sophistication. A lot of times I work with e-commerce companies that they are in physical retail. They sell things like furniture, but they've got a CTO, and they've actually got an in-house development team that cares deeply about exactly what technologies they're using, and is kind of demanding the opportunity to move in a cutting edge direction from us. And Catalyst is really meant to be an answer to those sorts of folks who are saying, hey, like, we want to use the latest technologies because that's how we think we can achieve the shopper experience that we're going for. That's far less about kind of vertical or industry, and way more about how that business is structured, what's the nature of their development team if they've got one in-house, and so forth. So that's kind of what I've seen, and I think that's how we've designed Catalyst as well, and that's why we are kind of designing it to be industry agnostic, and even kind of selling strategy agnostic, or having support for all of the things across B2C and B2B and all the multi-storefront varieties as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you. And that is just about all the time we have for today. However, if you want to our audience that may want to continue the conversation, we would love to have you join our online community. You can visit our Help Center community anytime, and you can also join us on Facebook and Reddit. And finally, I want to say a huge thank you to all our panelists who presented today, and also to all the BigCommerce customers and partners on the line. With that, Brent, do you have any last words to close us on out?
Just thanks, because we're at time. Appreciate all that you do and partnering with us and allowing us to serve you, to our customers and partners. We're grateful, and we look forward to seeing you again next quarter. Cheers.